The Fantasy Football Show.
Hello everybody and welcome to the People's Poll, the show each and every Monday where James and I discuss a topic of your choosing. How are you, James?
I'm alright. And yourself?
PlanetFPL time. Got the People's Poll right. Or are we being AFTV for a day?
We definitely ain't
20 minutes.
AFTV. No, we are going to talk about Arsenal this morning as the winner of the People's Poll vote. We are not going to attack this from an FPL point of view. We're just going to have a talk about the current state of Arsenal Football Club.
Gooners. They obviously lost Emery last week. They are 9th in the table from what I can remember,
I don't even know. Are they?
I think they're 9th in the table at the moment. I mean, a couple of points behind you. It's very tight. The table is still very, very tight. I mean, after West Ham's win at the weekend, we are the same points away from you guys in 5th as we are from the relegation zone. It is tight. There is a bit of disgruntlement at the board, whether or not they're making the right decisions, whether or not they have the right management structure. For a club that historically has always been run so well, when Wenger was literally a dictator in there, right? He had control over so many areas of the club. I don't know.
We started going a bit wrong. I think you can date back to obviously when David Dean left.
Yeah,
I think David Dean was absolutely huge for
Wenger
says and their relationship, and I think Wenger struggled to have the same contacts, and I think other than David, I think David Dean was someone who probably would stood up to Wenger a little bit, whereas I think those in the coaching team became very sort of yes-menish to him.
Okay.
First Pat Rice, and then I think even afterwards, when Steve Bold went in as assistant, I think people thought that he would sort of put things right for them defensively. Never happened. I think he just became another yes man for Wenger, and I think a lot of the fans' grievance, obviously with Emery currently, who's obviously now gone, but over the last couple of years, is seeing that if you think of Guardiola at City, Klopp at Liverpool, I think they feel if they'd have got Wenger out a few years earlier, they could have gone for them people. When Guardiola was at Barcelona, he spoke glowingly about Arsenal. And the opinion always from the outside was that if Guardiola had come over to an English club, it probably would have been Arsenal. Arsenal at the time with Wenger were trying to very much kind of copy a Barcelona model, which I think was very much an Arsenal downfall because they didn't have the players to replicate the tiki-taka football that Barcelona were playing with the same effectiveness. There is a core problem throughout that football club at the moment, and I'm not sure whoever comes in as football manager is going to fix it.
I don't know if perhaps I have a different point of view coming at it, looking at, like, you know, as a West Ham fan, I look at Arsenal, I'm like, what are you actually moaning about? Because the reality is, if you look at it, there's a lot of positives within that club that I think get overlooked. They're looking back to the early noughties where they were winning everything and thinking that that's how it's going to stay forever. Look where United have fallen. Like, I'd rather be an Arsenal fan right now than a United fan.
Why?
Based on the quality of where the club is at, in my opinion. I think Arsenal are in a better state than Manchester United are.
Are they?
Yeah, I would say so. I still think Arsenal, there was that long period where they couldn't spend a lot of money because of the stadium, which they're through. They've shown that they are willing and capable of spending money, not always wisely, but plenty of clubs buy duff players. They've got talent galore there.
Have they?
They really do. I think some of the
keep playing
young players,
devil's advocate here, mate.
Joe Willock and all of these guys coming through, Saka and Pepe and Aubameyang and Lacazette, they have enough firepower to finish in the top 4. Defensively, I mean, this was one of the suggestions I was going to make for the People's Poll anyway. Like, are we done defending now? There's 2 clean sheets this weekend. West Ham and Crystal Palace. Like, are we done defending now? So I don't think they're the only ones in the boat that can't defend. There's plenty of teams that are struggling defensively right now. They've got their stadium. They're making good revenues. they just need. I don't think it's a drastic revolution. I just think a couple of key appointments, and they could do really well again.
The assessment of Arsenal on the outside appears to be at the moment that although yes they will spend money, it's not going to be comparable to probably what Chelsea, Liverpool, City and United will be spending going forward. So therefore they're often going to be playing catch up. I think Spurs again, there's an assumption that money won't be spent, but I think that's a little bit of an unknown now. Mourinho's in the door. The problem with Arsenal is, and this is where I go back to sort of yes people, is you've mentioned there's good attacking talent. I mean, Aubameyang and Lacazette on their day, particularly in a home game, are as good as any front two in the league if they hit it off. Now, it was clearly obvious to everybody inside and outside that football club that they needed to address problems defensively, be that at centre back, be that in holding midfield, and yet the money went into Pepe. Mm-hmm. They didn't need that player.
No, well,
they've got
he's not played the last handful of games, has he? So
they brought Martinelli in, who I think all Arsenal fans are raving about. This kid, he's a nuisance. He's going to be a really good player. They already had Saka on the books, who's kind of emerged this year. Reece Nelson, who hasn't had much of a sniff this year, but I think he's a really good talent. So the attacking pool of players is already there. Mm-hmm. We've got Eddie Nketiah, who's out on loan at Leeds, who could be sort of a backup for Aubameyang and Lacazette. Might even push for the first team come this time next year.
Yeah, they were going to pull him back, I think, from Leeds because he wasn't getting in enough ahead of Bamford. But even in the pre-season, Nketiah was really tearing it up. On the flip side, they did buy defenders in the summer. They bought Kieran Tierney that addressed their left-back situation. They bought David Luiz, who's kind of a defender. I'm not sure what he is really. He's just a player.
He's 4 out of 10 or 9 out of 10.
Yeah, but they did. I mean, it was the summer before that they bought. Was it Socrates? Was the summer before? They bought Saliba and sent him straight back on loan. But they did buy 3 or 4 defenders this summer. It wasn't like they didn't buy any defenders and only put their money in Pepe.
That's part of the problem, isn't it? He bought. If you think of Emery had a style where he obviously wanted to play football out from the back. Absolutely fine, but then go and get players to fit in with that system. Yeah. Now David Luiz is a good footballer. Mm-hmm. Yeah, short passing, particularly long passing, very good. Defensively, when he's at it, he's honestly very good, David Luiz. The problem is, quite often he's not at it at all, and in all of the recent games I've seen of Arsenal, he's not been at it at all.
I'm surprised he's still getting into that starting 11, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he will be because on his day he is capable. But then, like, to go back on the point, Emery bought Socrates, was basically near enough his first sign of the door at Arsenal. And he's not good enough on the ball.
No.
So, but you're going to keep giving the ball to this guy and putting him under pressure. When I saw the team sheet yesterday at Norwich, I fell about laughing when I saw Mustafi was in it. But then I thought about it longer and I thought, actually, is Socrates any better?
Arsenal fans in the know would say that Mustafi hasn't been too bad defensively this year.
Really?
Yeah,
that's because he ain't been playing.
He's been all right, but again, it's not exactly the best signing out there. Then maybe why not play Callum Chambers in the middle? I don't know. Is Rob Holding injured again?
I think Rob Holding he's had a setback potentially. I don't know how long he's out for. It shouldn't be long, but you could make a case. I was speaking to Adam at 3-5 who in the summer and was saying already like he might be Arsenal's best centre half there. There's a case. The best thing they could do now is the problem is they've lost a bit of their identity. So go in with a sane pairing and say, right, do you know what? We're going to give Holding and Chambers 10 games together. See how it goes. The fans will get behind it. Yeah. One of the major issues they've got at the moment is they all moaned about Wenger, but then at least they knew they could go over there and be entertained. Now they're going over there, they're watching the same football, but it's worse. Mm-hmm. And this guy was meant to be someone who's going to come in and make them more defensively sound. It's not happened, is it?
No.
They're still conceding just as many goals, they're still losing just as many games, and they're not as good on the eye to watch.
Yep.
Major problems. I just want to read you.
I wouldn't go major though. I just think like put it this way: the right manager comes in and he would be able to get that squad into the top 4. Organised and good man management. I reckon the Arsenal squad could easily, happily get into the top 4 this season.
This season, I can't see it. Haven't got enough quality.
Yeah. I mean, you've won 2 games on the bounce, and you've gone from like 15th to 5th all of a sudden.
I don't think we'll make it either. We haven't got enough quality, but we'll come back onto that later
but then
tonight.
Other clubs will slip up potentially, So like Chelsea lost at the weekend.
It's only Chelsea inexperience might cost them, but I think they're a better side than both Arsenal and Tottenham at the moment. I went to read you this from Ivan Gazidis on the day that Emery was appointed. Gazidis was chief executive, has now gone to AC Milan. He said, when Emery was appointed, we had some clear criteria: aggressive, entertaining football, personality that fitted with Arsenal's values, also a record of developing players through detailed tactical instruction, and also cultured, demand-pushing players. Now, you could take out every little bit of that sentence and crucify it, because none of them things happened.
No. I mean, how much they believed it, or they just said that because it was sound bites?
Well, supposedly, Mintalat, who was head of recruitment, who's now gone, Gazidis, and who's your guy who's still there?
Seleni?
They were the 3 that were responsible.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know what his role is. He's head of football.
Head of football, isn't he? He's in charge of the football, isn't he?
What does that mean? What does head of football mean?
I don't know.
He ain't picking the team or anything, is he?
No.
Anyway, those 3 were responsible for the appointment of Emery. Only Seleni is left now. Mm-hmm. What they tried to appoint from the manager, they didn't get. Supposedly, when Emery did his presentation for his interview, he blew them away. Apparently, before that, they were going to go and approach Arteta. Arteta thought he had the job.
Yeah, I thought he had the job back then. There was a lot of talk around Arteta at the time.
Emery pre-Arsenal was very much kind of a 4 at the back, normally a 4-2-3-1 from Seville, and then obviously the stint he had at PSG before Arsenal. He didn't play it with any consistency for Arsenal.
No.
I think at the end, a little bit like with Pochettino at Spurs, he was just throwing things at a dartboard and hoping something would stick and come good. And it never did, this going back to 3 at the back and that. I mean, it's only really suitable if you've got like Tierney and Bellerin, in my opinion, who obviously haven't been fit. That's not helped this year. But quality-wise, once you look beyond Aubameyang and Lacazette, they're average from attacking midfield backwards.
Yeah, I think they've got the talent, though. I don't think that it's talent that hasn't been performing as opposed to not having the talent. I think there's still talent in there. Pepe's still got ability. He just hasn't shown it yet in the Premier League. Ozil on his day can unlock a team. They have let a lot of players go over the years that you'd think they would love right now. Aaron Ramsey from last season being a classic example. But I don't know where Arsenal go from here. They've given it to Freddie Ljungberg. I think he's going to definitely have it until the new year. I don't see them appointing anyone before Christmas. But they have the money to go out and get any manager they want. The talk on Brendan Rodgers is 16 million's the buyout clause in his contract. They can afford that.
Adam suggested, it was either in his article or something he'd written on Twitter last week, that Arsenal will quite often try and do this the cheap way.
Yeah, they are cheap. They're shrewd and cheap.
I mean, there were
I don't know if those two, you can be both those two things together, but
I get the feeling. I'll be honest, I didn't see anything particularly positive from Ljungberg. It's not a criticism. I mean, got hold of the job Friday. I think there were slight differences, particularly in the positioning of the 3 central players. I don't know how happy Aubameyang will be regularly playing off the right. There's a growing feeling I think Ljungberg might do this till the end of the season, isn't there?
I did think in the first 20-25 minutes they play with more energy, Arsenal. I did think that actually, you know what, you're running a lot more than I've seen, or closing down and harrying. And I thought, you know what, if that's going to carry on throughout the game, then he's not going to have had the time to tactically affect the team. But at least if you can motivate them enough to, you know what, let's go out and give this a go. But then they just faded, didn't they?
Well,
they weren't able to maintain it throughout the whole 90. And Norwich were decent yesterday.
It looks ridiculous in hindsight. But I said this before the Europa League final and after a few of the bigger games that Arsenal had last year, was I praised their intensity. There were signs there of something that wasn't there during Wenger's time. I still believe that, where in particularly some of the bigger games at the Emirates, thinking of the 4-2 Spurs, the 2-0s against Man United and Chelsea, where they showed an intensity they hadn't in other big games previously. That hasn't been seen at all this year, other than basically once, probably the second half against Spurs maybe, and that might have had a lot to do with the intensity of the crowd getting involved.
It is probably the most annoying thing as a football fan when you see your team perform like that, and then the week later they don't have that intensity. We get it all the time at West Ham. Everton had it early in the season when they played us, and you're like, why can't you play with that intensity all the time? You see it one week and not the next. That is probably the most annoying thing from your team. And Arsenal have had their off days, definitely. They don't have a fear factor about them. Arsenal, Monday night, next Monday, we're playing them at our place. If we turn up and play as we can, it would be no surprise if we beat them next Monday.
If Antonio's fit, like what it'll do to David Luiz and that. No, I'm serious. It's not a joke. Even the Arsenal fans listening to this will know that. They'll be thinking, fucking hell, I hope it's Haller and not Antonio. Because Antonio's going to be a nuisance. He's big, he's powerful.
Defensively,
he's got movement as well, bring a different option to West Ham. Think of the game on Thursday. Obviously, they played Brighton. You look at it on paper all day long and you go, got to be a home banker. And then you think about it and you think how disorganised they are at the moment. And that's not to blame Ljungberg in any way. But you feel like Brighton might go there and shock them.
The Brighton that played you and won 3-0 will beat that Arsenal team, 100%. So, I mean, this is the Premier League now. It's a very, very good league. What do they do now? I mean, a lot of negativity is then directed at the Cronkies. I don't know how much day-to-day involvement they do or don't have. But they're obviously very rich. They own the Denver Nuggets and some other football team.
Do you know
he's
worth Stan Kroenke?
American sports franchises are worth more than any Premier League club quite often. So.
He's worth $9.3 billion.
Yeah.
Stan Kroenke.
Plenty. He's doing all right. Was it KSE, Kroenke Sports?
And he doesn't care.
Enterprise.
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. So his son, Josh, who's one of 4 kids I think he's got, has become quite involved off the back of these complaints from fan groups. I think they've called it We Care Do You or something like that.
Yep.
And there was a response a couple of months ago when there was a statement from the supporters on that. And there's been another statement last week in terms of what they're going to try and do going forward. But it didn't actually really say anything. Mm-hmm. It just said, okay, we acknowledge we're trying to get it right. It didn't really tell Arsenal fans anything. They don't know the direction of the club. And this is where it gets interesting in terms of the appointment. Because I suspect Ljungberg might get it to the end of the season. And I suspect if he does well, he might get the job permanently. Because I think
it's hard not to when someone does right.
I think that's the easy option for Arsenal. And one of the things Arsenal are missing, and they probably didn't know this till long after Wenger walked out the door, they lost their infinity with what they were as an identity. Even all the way to the end at Wenger, Arsenal had an identity in terms of how they would play. Now, tactically, that might have been inept in terms of, all right, Arsenal will play their way, opposition can play however they want, and it will be where it will be. In that period between Wenger leaving and now, what are they? How do they play? I don't really know. The same things happened at Spurs. The identity, towards the end of Pochettino's months, it was like, I don't know how we play anymore. What are we trying to achieve? How do we set up tactically? And there's a massive difference between being innovative and tactical and changing the system from game to game and just not having a clue. I think those Arsenal players gave up on Emery months ago.
Yeah, there was a lot of players that didn't even come out and put anything out publicly. There was probably half that did say something publicly and half that just didn't even say anything.
Well, there was a lot of the rumours that the players, even on the training ground, were taking the piss out of him and his accent and stuff like that.
Nah, really?
Yeah.
Oof. Well, he was gone. He was definitely gone. It wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal go with Freddie Ljungberg until the end of the season, but I don't think they'll keep him long term. It's not necessarily the right appointment. They need someone strong there.
Well, it opens up. That's why I think, because of the identity thing, I think Ljungberg will get a chance, and I think that's why other names.
The fans will give him a lot of a lot more leeway than any others.
Of course, they will absolutely. What's happening at the moment is not Freddie Ljungberg's problem, right?
No,
Ljungberg was a player who ended up being a far better player than what his technical qualities actually were.
Work rate.
Bloody hard work. I mean, he was a very good footballer, but around the Bergkamps and the Perez's and that, he didn't have the elegance. but he fitted into that structure at Arsenal really well. And the understanding is he wants to play a pressing game, high energy, and he wants to shore him up a bit defensively. Now, he might do that. We didn't see any of it yesterday. I'm not expecting him to do so in 2 days. But it opens up a nice wider debate, and I think off the back of Flores getting sacked at Watford yesterday as well, in terms of this idea of whether you appoint for the short term or the long term. So if you take the case of Watford are always looking short term, right?
Yeah.
But now particularly so. The chances are they're going down unless they sort it out.
Yeah.
The only remit for whoever takes over is keep us up.
Stay
There's
in
nothing
the Premier
else.
League, yeah, literally.
And the appointment might even be with someone. Chris Hughton's been mentioned very heavily.
He's the favourite at the moment.
Well, he's got teams out of the Championship before as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
They might even be thinking that. So I don't know that. Maybe that is a longer term plan. Do Arsenal look at this from a short term perspective or a long term?
I don't think that they need to pick one or the other. I think anyone who's good enough will get a song out of these players in the short term and build for the long term.
So you think whoever walks in the door will make that better?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's the case.
I probably just don't believe that they're that bad as perhaps that you would believe if you listen to AFTV or the news that much. They've got some Torreira, Xhaka and Guendouzi in that middle holding are not bad players.
Are they good players?
Yeah, they're all right. Guendouzi's okay. He's young.
Well, he's young,
19.
yeah. So he gets
Torreira has had some great games. Xhaka was all right at the weekend.
I think Torreira had some great games in his first 4 months. I've not seen a lot in the last year.
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing in all sorts of funny positions. Getting in the box and taking shots is not where I'd expect to see Lucas Torreira. I think they need to get Tierney and Bellerin working. I don't think Leno's been all right as a keeper. He's kind of growing into the role of.
Well, he's bloody have to be the face over 20 shots every week.
Yeah,
so
he was their man of the match yesterday.
It was a great save from McLean's effort.
Yeah, I don't think someone coming in with a bit of experience, you just get them organised, could do very well, and then build for the future. I think they don't need to pick one or the other. In my opinion,
I think they've ended up with an imbalance. I actually think in an odd way. I know Arsenal fans are quite fearful of Aubameyang going because I think he's got 18 months left, maybe. What is he, 30 or 31?
He's coming up to 30, yeah, I think.
It's talking about like maybe Madrid being interested for 70 million plus.
You take it.
I think they should take it.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Go with Lacazette. Make him the man.
Get Martinelli some minutes. Get Nketiah some minutes.
Reece Nelson, they've got good young players. They're stacked in that area, particularly the wide Pepe, of course, obviously, right? We know there's a good player in there somewhere. He might be very one-footed, but Liverpool were linked as well. We know there's a player in there.
100%.
It's the rest of that team backwards that needs fixing.
Defence has always been a problem for them, but you can get into the top four with a leaky defence. It's happened before.
Yes.
So I don't think that's going to be a problem. If you ask me now, do I think they'll get into the top four? Probably not. Just because City, Leicester and Liverpool have got 3 of the 4 spaces tied up, and so there's only 1 you're playing for. It's hard.
Problem is, Arsenal fans' expectations not top 4, Suj. It might be now. I think they're coming around to realising it.
I think right now they'd take top 4. Bite your hand off if you're from top 4.
Absolutely. But the expectation is they went into that stadium 13 years ago and it was going to make them one of the biggest clubs in the world. They are one of the biggest clubs in the world. But they ain't challenging for anything.
No.
So the expectation is wrong against what the size of the football club is. What are they, 6th or 7th richest in the world or something like
Probably.
that? So they should be challenging for everything, shouldn't they?
100%, yeah. If you recruit correctly, now if they have an interim manager in January and Freddie Ljungberg, they're not going to be splashing the cash. It's very rare for teams to be buying big name signings when you haven't got a permanent manager, because you don't know if that's the player that they want necessarily, unless someone really good comes up at a really good price, which is not going to happen.
Well, the favourite for the job is obviously available, which is Allegri.
But he's ruled himself out, no? He said he wants to complete his sabbatical.
The understanding is, yes, he wouldn't want to take a job on until next summer. Seems to be the thinking.
Yeah.
Again, it could be a convenience thing there, Ljungberg to the end of the season. He assesses it all summer and then goes in and hammers it in the summer. Possible. Arteta, we believe Guardiola won't let him go now, but might at the end of the season. Arteta would jump at it, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
But then, I don't know if
especially because City are struggling a little bit right now.
If you're going to give Ljungberg 6 months, are you just going to start again with Arteta?
I think if
Go with
Arteta's
Ljungberg.
coming in, they'll get him in sooner. I mean, the problem when you have an interim caretaker manager, if he keeps winning games, which could happen, then it's hard to get rid of him. So yeah, if Freddie does well until the end of the season, it's going to be hard not to offer him a full-term contract. But
There are only two other managers priced under 16-1 by the bookies at the moment. Pochettino.
and Rodgers.
I'd ask you first on Pochettino. Can you see that?
Strangely, I probably can.
Really?
Yeah, I probably can. I mean, you guys sacked him, right? Ultimately, or Levy did. So, does he have the loyalty there? I don't know Poch well enough, but he did. There is the quote that's been doing the rounds that he'd rather work on a farm than manage Arsenal.
Oh, is that right?
Someone sent it to me as a meme. I don't know if
Okay.
that's genuinely true. It's from 2018 or
I
something.
can
like
believe it.
that. Having said that, I mean, the opportunity is a great one at Arsenal if it was offered to him. How many managers have done it? George Graham's done it, but the other way. Are there many others over the years?
Well, you have to remember as well, that wasn't direct. So George Graham got an opportunity in the mid-90s at Leeds after
then,
all the bung
yeah.
scandals.
Yeah.
Didn't really want to go out there, but he needed to get back into work. It was London-based. When the Tottenham job come up, but double the money and that, he went and took it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Pochettino doesn't need to rush into the Arsenal job because
Yeah.
Madrid and all that's going to come calling.
I don't think I don't think I used to manage Tottenham, so I'm not going to manage Arsenal is going to play that much of a part in the thought process. I do think the fact that he's been managing for 5.5 years at quite intense level and just wants to take a break for a little while will probably stop him taking the Arsenal job more than any club allegiance. Because they'll throw good money at him. I mean, these managers are only 5, 6, 7, 8 million pound a year now, so he's got to put food on the table, isn't he?
If Arsenal offered the money for... I don't... By the way, just to close on that, I can't see it. The amount of times he's spoken about he'd never go to Barcelona because he managed Espanyol. Why would you so openly, continuously rule yourself out of that job?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Because, he goes to Barcelona all the time. It's his city, basically. Every break, Pochettino goes to Barcelona. Why would he be so insistent on ruling himself out of that job? So I think he is principled like that. If Arsenal came up with the money for Brendan Rodgers, which we don't think they will,
16 million, right?
do you think he'd go?
Yeah.
You've just stepped away from the mic and said, yep.
So set the camera going. Just had to make
What's
sure the
a
camera's
tone-up?
going. Yeah. Do I think he'd go? Yeah, I don't think Brendan Rodgers has got any issues with leaving Leicester, sadly. Sorry, Leicester fans.
I agree.
His press conferences are not cryptic. He's never ruled himself out, put it that way. He'll say, look, I've got my job here at Leicester and I'm doing my job at Leicester and that's the only thing I'm focusing on right now. But he won't say, I'm not taking the Arsenal job. Would he want to? I don't know. I think the Arsenal fans would bite his hand off.
I think he'd take it.
Yeah, I think so as well.
But
I don't think there's any loyalty issues there.
I also think, and it would be controversial, but I think if they keep playing this well, Leicester, I think the United job will come for him as well.
He's going to be in demand.
I actually think more so than Pochettino. I think of those names and the others on the outside, Eddie Howe, Nuno Santo. We believe the Santo Wolves links was because of all the agent stuff with Mendes and that. We don't think there's anything in it. Ancelotti's had a difficult period at Napoli. Patrick Vieira, Rafa Benitez is in China. He's on an absurd amount of money. The name there that I fear isn't Pochettino, it's Rodgers, as a Spurs fan. Yeah. That's the one that would worry me, because I think he could make them a very good football side.
Yeah. And time will tell. Leicester had that great lastminute.com victory, which keeps them in the title hunt, sort of.
It looked like, and we'll talk about it more on the main podcast tonight, it looked like the game had got away from them.
Yeah.
And I know, obviously, Iheanacho's come on and won it, but the fact that Rodgers could see that, changed the system and brought Iheanacho on.
Yeah.
He's what won the game.
It really changed the game. And Vardy having someone to play off. And it was a well-taken goal by Iheanacho as well. I think he won man of the match as well.
He did, yeah.
For coming on as a sub in the last 20 minutes.
He made such an impact.
Yeah, exactly.
He decided the game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. I couldn't disagree with it. When I saw it, I was like, that was a little bit of my Sky fantasy football, hoping that Vardy got the man of the match points. But when I saw Iheanacho, I couldn't argue with the fact that he'd done that. And Rodgers is tactically aware. I don't doubt that. He's kept Leicester defensively very stable, despite, I mean, come on, Soyuncu and Johnny Evans isn't exactly world-beating 60, 70 million pound centre-backs, are they? But they're playing well.
And it's what's in front. They've got two very good full-backs. I think Chilwell and Pereira were developing anyway, even under Claude Puel.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's obviously getting a better turnout than I think he'd get a similar turnout to Tierney and Bellerin. I think the first thing he'd do is target that centre midfield and centre-back area. Let the forwards get on with it.
Yeah.
He's the one I'd fear.
He is.
Honestly. I hope he stays at Leicester and then goes abroad or something. I think he's the best British manager around, personally.
Ooh, I mean, that's a debate for another day. But indeed, we'll have that debate another day. Maybe we'll put it on a people's poll over Christmas. Who is the best British manager currently around right now?
That's the sort of person that Arsenal should be targeting.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because I think that has... Short term will get them their identity back in terms of the style of football that Arsenal fans now from the Wenger era think they should be playing. And longer term gives the potential for success.
And he's a winner as well. I mean, people will poo-poo the Scottish League.
Yeah, we are going to poo-poo that.
But he's got the mindset and mentality of wanting to win trophies. He's been used to it. Whether or not they're easier trophies to win is regardless. He still needed to win year in, year out at Celtic. Anything less than winning the league was unacceptable, and the cup, and probably everything that they're in apart from the Champions League there. So.
Let's not remember that he walked out on them in March, 2 months away from the treble.
Yeah.
To go to Leicester.
Yeah. That's why I don't think there's any loyalty there.
Yeah, I think if Arsenal decided, I think he'd go.
Yeah.
But I also think he's a little bit conscious that style of football for him could work at United. And you said at the moment that you'd probably go to Arsenal rather than United.
I'd rather be an Arsenal fan than a United fan, but based on the state of the clubs and the team on the pitch.
I think they're both a state at the moment.
I think Arsenal have a bit more depth. I don't see the same youth coming through. They've got a few at United in Williams and stuff, but they're not the same depth that Arsenal have, in my opinion.
But I think if a good manager goes in there and gets hold of Rashford, Martial and Daniel James and tells them that if they move about a bit rather than being so fucking stationary, then they might have a bit more success going forward. So I think good coaching can fix that for Manchester United as well.
3 game weeks for FPL over the course of like 9 days or whatever it is.
Boom.
1 down. We've now got midweek Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday games, followed by Saturday, Sunday, Monday games straight after. Why don't you tell everybody what they have to look forward to from us for this week?
PlanetFPL podcast tonight, reviewing game week 14. Tomorrow.
Odd game week this week.
Why?
I felt like I scored 58 points. I had a rank of 2 million.
You beat me.
By a fair
bit,
amount.
yeah.
I still had a rank of 2 million. I saw people in their mid-40s, 44, 45, with game week ranks of like 5 million and 5.5 million.
Yeah, that was mine.
So like 45 is not normally going to get you a 5 million game week rank. You'd expect to be a bit higher than that. So it was quite a high scoring week.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of recovery of dead teams this week, quite a bit. Tuesday, Tottenham might be positive. So should the match of the day challenge.
I did do the match of the day challenge.
We'll talk about that.
That was weird. Yeah.
Amazing win for West Ham and another win from Spurs, who have gone from 14th to 5th in 2 games. I don't quite know. I think that says more about the state of the league than Spurs.
Correct.
Wednesday, Sky Fantasy Football will record early Wednesday ahead of, obviously, the 6 fixtures Wednesday night, looking ahead to the remaining midweek fixtures and the weekend ahead. Thursday, Planet FPL podcast again, reviewing the first 8 games from the midweek fixtures, game week 15. Final plan Friday, we'll have a look at Arsenal v Brighton, Sheffield United v Newcastle, and plans for game week 16. I think I've got that right. That
is correct. We just finished 14, so 15, 16. There we go. So a lot of content as per usual coming at you this week. Do hit the subscribe or notification bell wherever you are watching the show, and make sure you are subscribed to get all of the latest episodes as they come out. If you like, rate, review, comment, share, all of that stuff, it just makes us feel good about ourselves. Other than that, stay tuned. Tune in tonight for the main show. Ciao for now.
Cue music, man, child.
The Fantasy Football Show.